Okay, so today I'll be showing you, walking you through how to operate a CNC machine. For those of you who don't know what a CNC is, it's basically a giant drill on an X, Y, and Z axis. And you can have pretty much any type of work material here, whether that be a type of plastic, aluminum, or steel. And you can use, you send G-code to this CNC router, and it'll cut any part you design out of that material. So, we use the CNC for a lot of our designs this year, including our shooter plate, intake plate, intake flip down, and as well as a numerous amount of mounting brackets. So it's been very useful for us. We mainly use plastic, and that's what we'll be using today. So first step is designing the part, preparing the manufacturing code, and sending it to your processor. So all of that is pre-done for us, but I will also put a tutorial on our channel later of how to do that. So for right now, let's assume you already have a part and you have it open on your software. So first things first is to turn on your CNC. Next thing is to plug in your control PC. Now, one thing that's important to note is that we are using an open build CNC machine, and therefore we're also using the open build software. So for a lot of there's a lot of different types of CNCs out on the market, and the software you use might be different based on what type of CNC you have, but the general workflow should be the same. So the next step is to secure our work material.
All right, Taha, so how are you securing this?
Okay, so here's our work material. I'm working on a 1/4 inch ACPE, right? And so of course, this will look different for a lot of CNC users. We actually have these pre-made. These were actually made in a CNC, these clamps, and this end was 3D printed. So here is like, it looks like kind of like a reverse staircase here, and then here's the matching side. So this is kind of modular, and you just move this down to match the height of your work material, and then you take your any size bolt, and you put it in these threaded holes. And that's what's going to keep this clamp touching your work material. And so it's always a good idea to make sure you're clamping down each corner of your work material. So the part I'm making is about 6 inches by 6 inches, but this is a 12-inch square. So I'm only going to really be using like the middle or maybe one side of it, so I can have the rest of it to use potentially in the future. So with that in mind, I want to position my clamps so that the CNC has enough space to move around. Okay, so I have the work material secured down all 4 corners. It's not moving anywhere. Now we're gonna start out by homing the CNC machine. So first, I connect my PC to the CNC. I unlock this movement alarm just so that allows me to move it now, and then I home all the axes. So there's hard limits on each axis, X, Y, and Z, that the CNC is gonna hit and trigger. And that's going to give us our starting position. A little bit of a slow process here. Okay, so after it's all homed, I'm just going to move the CNC out a little bit with my keyboard, so it's in a better position for me to work on. And now the next step is to take our bit that we're using and put it into the machine. So for a CNC, there's a lot of different bits you can use. You can see a lot of them in our drawer here, but it always kind of depends on the type of material you're going for and the type of cuts you're going for. So there's a lot of research that has to be done going into that, and of course I'll cover that in another video. Okay, so now that we have our tightening tool and our drill bit, I'm going to go ahead and put in the CNC machine. So again, this is pretty specific for our machine, but it should be the same general process for others. I'm going to first put my bit where it needs to go in this clamp. Then I'm going to secure it using this wrench. You have to press this yellow button here while tightening this nut here, which I will do again with this wrench. Yeah. Okay, so now that that's done, we just go ahead and set up our work coordinates. So, first off, I'm going to go ahead and load in the G code of the part I want to cut out. So you can see here on the screen a little preview of what the part will look like and what the path the CNC router will take. So these measurements right here tell me how far the path is going to be. This is all in millimeters, but again, just for reference, that's about 8 inches this way, 6 inches up this way. So now I had to set 0, 0 on this CNC machine, so it knows where to start out from. It's going to correspond whatever point I set as 0, 0 to this point on the part. So ideally, 0, 0 on the part will look somewhere around here, so it has enough space to cut out the part. First, we're going to start off by setting the Z coordinate. So again, how you do this probing will look different for a lot of CNCs. For this CNC, you take this conducting clip, you put it on the work tool, and you put this probe level with the bed. And what it's going to do is it's going to keep going down until it hits the probe, and then it's going to calculate based off the probe's height where 0 is actually on the board. So we go to probe on our software, set our plate thickness, how big that little probe is, confirm position, and probe. So now it's going to keep going down until it hits that probe. I actually might have started it a little bit too high, but we'll see. Alright, so I hit the probe. The probing is complete. So now we have our Z coordinate set. The next step is to set our X and Y coordinates. And of course, that's going to determine where our CNC actually starts from. So I can control how the CNC moves with my keyboard right here. I'm going to move it over so the end mill has enough space, at least 6 inches across and 8 inches going this way. And again, also so that this end mill route doesn't actually hit any of the clamps. So I kind of want to make sure it's moved over a little bit this way and cutting more towards the center. Okay, so I have the end mill in the correct position I want to set as 0. So now I go back to my software, and it's as simply as pressing set X0 and set Y0. So this is 0, 0 now, and we already set the correct Z0, so this is where the CNC is going to be starting from. So now, the next step is to just double check if the size is right. We're going to take this dust shoe. Whenever the CNC is operating, it's going to be taking out a lot of plastic, right? So we have this vacuum and this dust shoe to prevent that plastic from pretty much going everywhere and staying within this shoe while the vacuum picks it up. So I need to actually move this up a little bit first. Then this is all magnetic, so this is just going to clip on. Oh, put it on backwards, sorry. Just make sure the vacuum is tight on there. Then we're going to close the door. Gets a little stuck sometimes. Power on the router and start the job. Okay, so now that the CNC is done, here is our final part. Just gonna take it out. So it's pretty clean cut all around. That's what I really enjoy about the CNC. The end result is pretty satisfying. So this is actually our wobble goal plate. This is a little indentation for the wobble goal, and these holes are all for mounting. So that's how you CNC. But now here's the most important step, and that is cleaning up. So first, we're just gonna make sure there's no extra material on the end mill here. Clean that off. And once that's done, Well, there wasn't any in this case, but once that's done, you're gonna take your wrench. First step is take the end mill off. Okay, so now that we got the end mill out, next step is to go ahead and move the actual CNC out of the way a little. So now that I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off. Then we're gonna go ahead and take out our work material. We're gonna get all the excess material off here. I'm gonna go ahead and put this to the side. Still have some extra material, could use it for a later part. So now I'm gonna take these work clamps and go ahead and put them back in our drawer here. I'm going to do the same with our end mill. I'm going to put it back in its container. And store it in the drawer. And now, after all that is packaged away, and our work area is clean, ooh, there we go.
Wait, is this the right hole?
I'm going to take the vacuum out, and we just vacuum out the plastic.
Because it's been an actual thing.
So without the dust shoe on, that would have been a lot more plastic. But now we have a completely clean work area, and we have our part. So that's it for this tutorial. Now we're gonna go ahead and put this on our robot. See you next time.
Alright guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for Taha's tutorial on preparing the G-code, as well as stay tuned for seeing the robot using that CNC wobble plate. Leave a like and subscribe. Check out our Instagram. See you guys later.